Hey UConn Nation, it's KK Arnold here. If you're looking for the latest UConn women's basketball content, go subscribe to Listen Up to Phil and Ryan. Go Huskies!
Welcome back to Listen Up, Phil and Rye, on this Tuesday morning as we continue our roster breakdown today with Cadence Samuels as we dive into the first sophomores on the roster. But make sure before we get into the roster breakdown, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe as we just hit 2.4 thousand subscribers. So, as always, thank you guys for your support as always, especially on these most recent videos, as we're getting ever so closer to the start of this new season now. And make sure to check out the interview with Morgan Valley as well. But let's go ahead and dive straight into Cadence Samuels for today. And I've been looking forward to this one because we've had a couple comments, people comment about Cadence and her future with the team, or how this year is going to look for her. And honestly, it's really hard to say with the depth that this team has, counting the three freshmen, of course. Last year with Cadence, she had to step up, obviously, because of the depletion of the roster due to all the injuries. And she actually played in 36 games. And when I saw that, it kind of surprised me a little bit. I honestly forgot about how much she had to play. But I mean, UConn really didn't have many options off of the bench. She averaged about 12 minutes per game, 5 points per game last year, and she shot 40% from the field, which is pretty good. And I think getting that experience last year will definitely be very beneficial for her moving forward. She even played 14 minutes against USC in that Elite Eight game. And I think the most important thing for her is that she can learn from those experiences. She's obviously a very talented shooter. We saw it some in a couple of those games where she scored double-digit points, and she's definitely not afraid to let it fly, which is also a good trait to have. But honestly, I was most impressed with her rebounding last year more than anything. She only averaged 2.5 per game, but there was a stretch of about 9 games where in 8 of those she had at least 3 rebounds. So I think working on her defense, hopefully during the off season, and just trying to be a more controlled and consistent when she does get the ball, I think that's going to go a long way for her. But it's really hard to say and try to predict what her season outlook will be as far as the minutes go. But, I think Cadence can make an impact, but with a lot of the freshmen that we went over so far, it's kind of all dependent on how many opportunities and how many minutes that they get during this season.
All right. I appreciate it a lot, Ryan. Yeah. First of all, thank you for coming on with me today. What are we at? October 8th already. So you're right. The season is creeping up on us very quickly. I can't wait for it looks like that if anyone cares. It looks like that you and I will be going to USC versus UConn. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. Not the South Carolina game. Um, yeah. Aside from that, spotlight on Cadence Samuels today on Listen Up. As I'm watching highlights, I think if you remember, Ryan, her first career bucket for freshman Cadence Samuels came last year against Dayton, and it was a 3-pointer, right? So, I like the way that she approaches the basketball, approaches the game, rather. I like you mentioned about her shot, the way she shoots. Now we get it. This is another big body. I think that she can do damage to other teams inside the paint, but me watching, I almost forgot how sweet that shot is from behind the 3-point line. I mean, goodness sakes, I'm watching it here over and over. This must be the 10th time I've watched it. Credit women hooping, Ryan. It's amazing, right? Because just when you think you bring in a big body to, do all the damage in the paint, I think that it's important so far the players that we win over, how important it is. Size is not everything, but I think UConn has had trouble with size since we've been covering the team. Although a lot of them has been out due to injuries, this and that. You know how that goes. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very important that this is yet another player. I don't know how you feel about this, that has size finally. You know what I mean? That can lay it up inside or is a 3-point threat. So, and the biggest reason why I want all of you all to guess, and you, Ryan, why Cadence Samuels, well, Paige Becker's, K Carroll, obviously, I think all of them are my favorite, right? But something special about Cadence Samuels, and I want you to tell him, yeah, there's something special about her. Why is she Phil's favorite on the whole roster? Her hometown?
Yeah, Forestville, Maryland, not too far away.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I
Mhm.
think, yeah, I mean, definitely her 3-point shot is definitely her main role on this team, or main thing she definitely came out with during her freshman season. And you could tell right away that she was definitely going to shoot a lot of them. But yeah, I think working on more of a variety of shots for her will also probably go a long way this season. But it definitely is nice to have, another 3-point threat on the team when she comes off the bench, that teams have to worry about guarding her in the corner or anywhere outside of the arc, worrying about her shooting the three ball. So I think she definitely does provide a scoring threat off the bench, and provides a little bit of energy too for UConn. But like I said, it's hard for us to try to predict what her role is going to be this season, but I certainly do hope she gets a lot of opportunities. I don't know about, playing in 36 games this season, but we'll just have to see how the season goes.
All right, let's go over to comments here. The real comments, right? Well, I mean, all of them are real, but again, if we like to, I don't like to take anybody's slogan away, but keep it clean in the comment section. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it. Jason D'Amico said, this news is not a surprise to many. I don't expect to see Aubrey 100% until the beginning of February. And as far as I'm concerned, Caroline is a no-go. AZ's status will be day to day, as she is not only trying to get back onto the court, but she is trying to save her career. Looks like we are going to get Paige with a bunch of rookies again, but this time we will not have Aaliyah or Nika. Chen is going to have to step up big time. Peace. And that was referring to the UConn Huskies without 3 players to start the season.
Yeah, Jason's definitely not wrong. I think for AZ, it's definitely, I think now at this point, it's her trying to worry about her future as well, because unfortunately she really hasn't played in that many games when you think about it, for as long as she's been here on this UConn Huskies team. So, I think now it's making sure that she comes back fully healthy, and it'd be really big for her when she does finally come back for this season. It's going to be really big for her to try to stay healthy and try to go through this whole entire season when she does come back. So, yeah, I think worrying about her future is definitely something on her mind now. And I think that is the unfortunate reality for Aubrey, and probably Caroline as well. As there's obviously no timetable for them to return, or they could not return for this whole entire season, unfortunately. So we'll just have to see how it goes with those two players, and see, maybe hopefully before March rolls around, the postseason, we can possibly get both of them back. But yeah, I think for AZ, hopefully by December, hopefully she'll be healthy and ready to go.
Jerome Danielson said, in my opinion, Ducharme should go into medical retirement. It's over for her.
Yeah, it really is a shame, because, I feel like I keep repeating myself, but I really did like her as a freshman, and I think all of us did as well. And she showed, really, really, she had a really good games, and she showed a lot of promise. And yeah, unfortunately, like I said, ever since that, the head and neck injury she's been dealing with, tried to come back, and it just hasn't really worked out for her. There's not really a specific injury. It's just kind of stuff with their head and head issues, I guess. So I think, a head injury is probably the hardest one to try to deal with, because it's all about the person and how their body or head reacts, I guess. So head injury is definitely not something lightly to take. So it's it's going to be tough for her to try to come back, I think.
Last one on this Tuesday, Ryan. The Morgan Valley interview. This comes from Miles Angus. Thanks, Miles. The Morgan Valley interview was great. That means a lot to Ryan and I. Thank you. I remember watching the team when she was a player, and I had never known what a great personality she has. She was almost as well, I'm going to skip to the next sentence here. Well, maybe not quite as much, but as much maybe as Ashton Shade. Very nice. So I tip my hat to you two, Ryan and Phil, for bringing on assistant coach Valley. Yes, let's not forget Caitlin Chen. I have seen season previews that have not even mentioned her. I can see her starting ahead of Ashlyn, all based, of course, on the info that AZ Foot is still recovering from her knee injury. And truthfully, although I love Caroline Ducharme, I think that her focus is is if she wants to keep basketball in her future, she should maximize training to be an impactful coach.
Yeah, really, like we said, we're really happy with the Morgan Valley interview. So glad she could come on with us. And yeah, she is a really good personality, and that's, it's somebody as a coach you want to have on your team, no matter what team it is. So we're definitely really happy to have her at UConn beside Gino and all the other great assistant coaches we have on this team. I know she does great with all the other players, and all the players respect her on this team. But yeah, Caitlin Chen, I think, is really going to play a really big part for our team this year, especially with Aubrey and Caroline. No timetable for them, and like they just mentioned too, with AZ Fudd not returning until later in the year. So I think Caitlin Chen was a really big pickup for UConn. I think a lot of the players go under the radar most of the time that UConn picks up, because like we said, it's not really the big names that UConn gets, but it's the players that really fit into the UConn system. So I think Caitlin Chen is going to surprise a couple people.
How about this, Ryan? The great Oprah Winfrey. I know we love you all. Subscribe, like, comment. Ryan and I would not be here without everybody. The harsh reality, there will be downs, but there will be a lot of ups. How about this, Ryan? I knew that you would like this. Lots of people want to ride with you in the limo, but what you want is someone who would take the bus with you when the limo breaks down. Think about that, Ryan. And we'll see everybody the next time right here on Listen Up for the next player on the list in this series of the roster breakdown before the 24 season kicks off. Phil and Rye on Listen Up.